My friends, I have passed the 155,000 subscriber mark, and I want to thank all of you who have subscribed and who are members of my channel, joining at the Dumentite, Dominion, or Archvillain level, and gaining access to exclusive videos, emojis, and live streams. You guys are the best, and I thank you all very much for helping me meet this milestone. If you would, please check to make sure you are still subscribed. People get unsubscribed every single day. I've even had a channel member, an archvillain, get unsubscribed. Isn't that astonishing? Check to make sure you are still subscribed, and thank you for watching this video. My source has brought me a wealth of information allegedly from inside Disney or Lucasfilm regarding many aspects of Disney's Star Wars, including the struggle for the future of Star Wars being waged behind the scenes by Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau, Kennedy and Headland's new female-centric Star Wars series, and what's going to happen with Boba Fett in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. But the one thing that Star Wars fans have wondered since all this mess began is, what did George Lucas really think about the Disney sequel trilogy? And does a George Lucas cut of The Rise of Skywalker exist, as I reported this past Christmas? Well, my friends, I may finally have an answer for you. My sources sent me a number of rumors reportedly from associates of George Lucas revealing his comments and feelings after seeing each of the Disney sequel trilogy films, and I'm going to share them here with you now. Please bear in mind that I am not representing these leaks as factual. I cannot attest to the accuracy of this information since I cannot independently verify what I've been told. I'm only passing on what I've been told, so please regard all of what I'm about to share with you as rumor and take it with a grain of salt. So after George Lucas saw The Force Awakens, he compared selling Star Wars to Disney to selling your children to white slavers. So we don't really have to speculate about how Lucas felt after seeing his masterpiece get recycled into a processed cheese product unfit for human consumption. Lucas felt betrayed and upset when he realized that Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger had thrown out his own ideas for the sequel trilogy, discarding the carefully prepared and detailed outlines for the next 3 movies that Lucas had prepared. In his own memoir, Bob Iger confessed that while he had made it clear that Disney would not be contractually obligated to use Lucas's sequel trilogy outlines, he may have given Lucas the impression that Disney would implement his plans despite that. So when Lucas realized The Force Awakens had nothing to do with what he had written, he felt alienated and betrayed. Cut to when Lucas actually saw The Force Awakens. Lucas was allegedly very upset at how derivative and uninspired The Force Awakens was. In creating his own Star Wars films, Lucas had always taken pride in giving audiences something fresh and new with each film. There was little fresh or new in The Force Awakens, given that it was essentially an inferior knockoff of the original Star Wars. Afterwards, Kathleen Kennedy allegedly comforted George, telling him not to worry about it. "Just wait until the next movie. You'll see," she reportedly said. Cut to the next movie. George Lucas attends a screening of The Last Jedi. My source informs me that when George Lucas saw The Last Jedi, he said out loud, quote, "I've made a terrible mistake." Lucas was appalled, even more appalled than he was with The Force Awakens. If Lucas felt betrayed by the first film, which prompted him to compare Disney to white slavers exploiting children in the most hideous ways imaginable, can you imagine how Lucas must have felt seeing Luke Skywalker turned into a milk-sucking freak, attempting to murder his nephew in his sleep, withdrawing from the galaxy and allowing the First Order to overthrow the Republic while he contemplated burning the Jedi texts? "I've made a terrible mistake," Lucas reportedly said after seeing The Last Jedi. For a man as reserved as George Lucas, that's the equivalent of a lesser mortal wailing and rending his garments. This is the first hint I've ever heard of Lucas's feelings regarding The Last Jedi. It appears that Ruan Johnson also subverted Lucas's expectations as well as ours. which leads us to the Rise of Skywalker. Once again, Iger reportedly marginalized Lucas by bringing him in for a screening of the Rise of Skywalker very late in the game. Lucas wasn't happy with it, but reportedly saw a way to make it a lot better. He pitched his ideas along those lines and was allowed to take a pass at re-editing the film to fix it. My earlier sources during the Christmas season claimed that George Lucas came up with the idea of a new hope, a new revelation of a secret Skywalker that would tie everything together and salvage the whole sequel trilogy. And at that time, a source told me that some of the reshoots had been staged to provide Lucas with new footage to assist him with his re-edit of The Rise of Skywalker. Well, this new source has not confirmed the secret Skywalker angle, but does maintain that a George Lucas cut of the film does exist, and that rumors of last-minute changes that leaked last December were referencing Lucas's efforts to save The Rise of Skywalker. My source tells me that after completing his cut of the film, Lucas finally got to see a screening of the final cut of The Rise of Skywalker at Skywalker Ranch. To say Lucas was unhappy would be an understatement. Once again, Lucas had been alienated by Disney and his wishes ignored. After that screening, some of the people on the team Lucas had worked with in creating his cut of the film started talking about how much of what Lucas had worked on was changed, how bad it was Lucas had only now seen what Disney had decided to do with the final cut. According to my sources, Lucas was shocked at how much of his work was missing. This source claims there is a second movie that George Lucas worked on that no one ever got to see. When asked if the source with knowledge of this cut would reveal the differences between Lucas's cut and what we saw, the source wasn't comfortable in going into specifics at this time, but did comment, quote, "I can tell you this much, it may not have been a perfect movie, but it had a far better ending than that piece of shit." For my part, I want to see the George Lucas cut of The Rise of Skywalker. You would think that Disney, being so strapped for cash right now with the theme parks being shut down and production being halted across the board, that they would be eager for a new source of income. I cannot imagine why they wouldn't want to go ahead and give this man his say. Give a little bit of justice for George Lucas. Let the fans see his cut of the film and decide for themselves what should have been up on those screens this past Christmas. It couldn't possibly be any worse than what they have. But would it be better? Well, I can tell you this. The reason why they don't want to release it is because it undermines Kathleen Kennedy's agenda for Star Wars. It goes ahead and gives a little bit back to the fans. It is made with care by the man who started the whole thing going. A man who did this edit to protect his legacy. To go ahead and give something back to fans who have been so bitterly disappointed, who shared his own alleged and rumored disappointment regarding the Disney sequel trilogy. I think this is a travesty. If this is true, I want to see the George Lucas cut, and I'm sure many of you out there feel exactly the same way. But will we ever see it? Will Kathleen Kennedy allow us to ever see it, given that it undermines her narrative? I guess only time will tell, but I imagine we will never ever have a chance to witness George Lucas's final statement on the Disney sequel trilogy, but thanks to this source, we have at least a rumored glimpse into his true feelings on this matter. And there you have it. This is what I've heard regarding the history of George Lucas's heartache and disappointment when it comes to Disney Star Wars. I imagine between Iger's verbal but not contractually binding assurances of adhering to Lucas's sequel outlines, and Kathleen Kennedy's lies about protecting his legacy and taking good care of his magnum opus, Lucas felt good about selling Star Wars to Disney. But if these rumors are true, we now know that by his own words, Lucas knows he made a terrible mistake. A terrible mistake selling Star Wars to Disney. A mistake that has cost him and his fans dearly. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.